Hello, this is Burke Lyle. It is about 5:30 in the afternoon, and I want to make this interesting video where Baseball America they just released their farm system rankings. So that's every team, all 30 teams in the big league, and that probably includes, and it varies. I mean, and what they like to include is each team's top 100 prospect. That's their thing, obviously. If you dig deeper into Baseball America, they do teams top 30, so that's 900 players in minor league baseball, which, think about every team, each team in full season ball has has 4 teams: low A, high A, double A, triple A. Minor league baseball is all realigned now. It's not the same what it used to be. And then keep in mind there might be some prospects, and it's a very small percentage of them, but some of them are in the are in the complex leagues. I think Arizona and Florida leagues. Because Florida for the Grapefruit League teams, and maybe Arizona for the Cactus League teams. They just play in their spring training complexes, and you have that. But also, if you want to think about 900 players in baseball, right? 900 prospects, so that's 30 per team. So if you think about it, each team's best prospect, so that means you have to go around double A, triple A, and then low A, that's probably what? 7, 8 players per team, per minor league team. And but in terms of 100 prospects, that means if you divide it evenly, each team would have, 3 or 4, but it's not divided evenly. Some teams don't have any. I've seen teams have as much as 8 or 9, and we're about to go through the farm system rankings, and we'll quickly talk about where that team is at right now and how long we think it will be until they're a competitive team. So let's begin. So the number one, we'll go 1 through 30. So the number one farm system, this is from Baseball America, is the Seattle Mariners, which they were trending upward for a number of years. They were towards the bottom of baseball at one point in time. They've shot up their best prospects. Julio Rodriguez, they have 400. Noel Marte, a shortstop, number 8. George Kirby, number 11. So they have 3 out of the top 10. Emerson Hancock, number 50. So again, their farm system ranking is number 1 right now. And they had Jared Kalanick graduate. He's not having a very good big league season. But right now, Rodriguez could graduate next year, maybe Kirby next year, maybe Hancock next year. So what it looks like in a year from now could be entirely different what it looks like in a year or 2 from now. That's what it looks like now. And the Mariners right now are currently in 3rd place in the AL West. They're not going to catch Oakland or Houston. I don't think that's going to happen. Their most valuable players right now, this is Baseball Reference War, Ty France, J.P. Crawford, Yushi Kikuchi, Mitch Haniger, Chris Flexen, Kendall Graveman actually traded to Houston. So they have some value in their team. They have a struggling offense, so maybe Rodriguez and Kalanick, when he comes up, could help. And then obviously Kirby and Hancock in that rotation for years to come. You do have a young Logan Gilbert, who they drafted a few years ago at age 24. So this is a Mariners team that I think is on the rise, and I think next year, I think they're going to be a playoff team. I think they really can contend for the playoffs, since maybe someone like Houston, maybe they take maybe as they get older, maybe they take a step back, or maybe the A's, they have this cycle where they're good for a while, maybe they just take a step back. You don't quite know what you're going to get with the A's each and every year. I mean, yes, they're good once again. They have talented pieces for sure. So the Mariners, I think they could definitely be a playoff team next year. This year, probably not. Number 2 farm system, the Orioles. Again, you think about the Baltimore Orioles, who for many years, their farm system sunk near the bottom. And once again, they're another last place team there. 38 and 79. I think they're in the middle of a 12-game losing streak. If I'm not mistaken, attendance has been very down this year. For sure, their most valuable player by far and away is Cedric Mullins. He's their most valuable player this year, and I think who could have a 30-30 season It's certainly on the verge of that. It's going to be close whether he gets it or not. But the O's for so many years, you remember that Machado, when they had Machado, Chris Davis at his best. They had those 3 playoff teams. Buck Showalter led teams where they bottomed out. Lost 118 games 3 years ago. In fact, who was running their front office? Then the general manager is Mike Elias, who actually came from Houston. And if there's anyone who knows about tanking and being awful, it's them. But think about this. So their farm system is ranked number 2. You have Rutschman, Grayson Rodriguez, DJ Hall, Gunnar Henderson right now. You wonder how long they'll be ranked. They're number 2, believe it or not. Yes, they're in last place. Yes, they're one of the worst teams in all of baseball. But if they can somehow, since think about it, Houston Astros lost 111 games in 2013. 2 years later, they made it to the playoffs. And then 4 years later, obviously, they're World Series champions, and they had 300-win seasons, and they're still very good right now. So what they did worked. You think about the Cubs, they lost 102 games 3 years later, won 97. Nationals lost back-to-back 100-loss seasons, 08 and 09. 3 years later, won the division in 2012, 98 wins. So the Orioles, I think they'll turn it around rather quickly. So this is a hard division to compete in, since, again, the Rays are always good. And in fact, their farm system was ranked very much near the top in each of the last few seasons, and their success. It's hard to say where they're going. Of course, their players get good eventually after a while, and they've gone through this cycle. They're small market. Their best players will probably be traded at some point in time. And the Rays do trade a lot of players. You think about, despite being a good team, Snell and Glasnow, Morton no longer on the team, they're a well-run organization where I think they can win championships, and then they might have slight rebuilding periods, but they're always in it. They're a team that always has a shot to win. So they're in that division. The Yankees, obviously, are the Yankees. The Red Sox, who knows? The Blue Jays are on the rise as well. So the Orioles, yes, they could be good in a few seasons. Maybe they can contend for the playoffs in a couple years. They have the number 2 ranked farm system. Kansas City Royals are number 3. I'd say they are better than they were in 18 and 19, almost 100 games. Bobby Witt, number 3 prospect. But then you have Daniel Lynch, Asa Lacy, Nick Pratto, Jackson Kolar. Kind of all were getting ready, big league ready. Kolar's close to big league ready. Lynch is in the big leagues already. Bobby Witt's a great product. I think already just got promoted to AAA. Kind of could be a 5-tool shortstop. So the Royals, who knows? They could start winning possibly as soon as next year. I mean, the Tigers have risen for sure. They're close to a 500 team. Obviously the Royals I remember they had a stretch where they had a very low-ranked farm system. I think it was in the high 20s, might have even close to the bottom. I don't know if it ever reached the bottom or not. But it bottomed out after since for years. I mean, you remember they developed Kane, they developed Hosmer, Moustakas. I'm trying to think. Those were the main guys on that World Series team. Alex Gordon, they obviously developed. Kind of all came up kind of in the early 2010s. They developed Salvador Perez, who is still there to this day. And they had a really good caliber major league team. And right now, in the major league team, I don't know how much progress they're making at the big league level. Maybe they'll be better next year. Maybe they'll start to show signs next year. But 3 out of their 4 starters, or three of their starters are 25 or younger. Singer, Keller, and Domingue. Obviously, they're working on developing pitching. I think it's going to. So when will the Royals start winning? I don't know yet, but soon. 4-team Pirates, they're one of the worst teams in baseball. Henry Davis, they just drafted number 147 in the updated rankings. Then you have Neil Cruz, who is 6'7", makes sense. Your first name is O'Neal, like Shaquille O'Neal, 6'7" shortstop. Has good tools. The Pirates had a good farm system. in the early 2010s kind of helped those three teams that went to the wild card. Unfortunately, they struggled and never got deep in the playoffs, but were a well-run organization for a while. They've kind of fallen since then. Number 5 ranked farm system, the Giants. Obviously, it's led by Marco Luciano, number 6, a big shortstop. Then you have Joey Bart, catcher, Heliot Ramos, Luis Tost, Kyle Harrison. Their farm system, I remember, was ranked near the bottom one of those years. I think kind of right around the middle of the decade. Yes, obviously the farm system is what helped them win World Series. We had Madison Bumgarner come up, Buster Posey come up right around the same time. In 2010, Brandon Crawford, Brandon Belt, they kind of all came up right around the same time. For the Giants, big part of those World Series teams. The Giants' best record in Major League Baseball, number 5 farm system. So it looks like the Giants have a future. It looks like they're content. Number 6 farm system is the Detroit Tigers, again, for years. Low-ranked farm system. Tried to win a bunch of championships. Was near the bottom. It's on the rise. Yeah, you have Spencer Torkelson at 4, Riley Green at 5, and then you have Matt Manning, 62nd. I think we've seen him in the big leagues right now. So again, this Tigers team does have quite a good farm system. Number 7 ranked farm system. We just talked about them. The Rays, ranked number 7. Probably going to win the East this year. Went to the World Series last year. They graduated in reading. Wander Franco is the number 1 ranked prospect. Randy Rosarini is still a prospect. Luis Patino, part of the rotation. Shane McClanahan. Yet, they're still ranked number 7 because you have Shane Baez, number 12. Xavier Edwards, I think, was in that Padres deal, if I'm not mistaken. 84, so you have your 12th, 25th. Vidal, Brugien, I think. I've heard his name the last few years. Know he could be a good hitting second baseman. Rays ranked 7. 8 is the Reds. It's interesting. Excited to see Hunter Green, 44. I've heard a lot of things about him in the last 5 years. 102 mile per hour fastball. This is your farm system here. The Reds ranked number 8. One that surprised me, number 9, the Red Sox, who their farm system, and that happens when you win championships. The Cubs bottomed out at 30. The Nationals bottomed out at 30, I think, earlier this year. It's not uncommon. The Brewers were 30th. The Red Sox got to 30th. They're number 9. It is very top heavy. Jarren Duran just got called up. So you wonder how long their farm system will be ranked this high. Again, I think these things kind of come and go. Just 3 ranked top 100 prospects, yet they're number 9. But it's not just those guys. It could just also be, yes, some teams are top heavy, but also it could be throughout the organization. I mean, when the best teams have 9 top 100 prospects, it means they're developing well. It means they have a very good farm system. Where if the guys are ranked 10th, 11th, 12th, or whatnot are not top 100 prospects, then that's one thing. But they are number 9, and that's that's an interesting thing. So Blue Jays number 10, they have 5 top 1 prospects, including Gabriel Moreno number 10, Nate Pearson 51. I've heard about in the last few years. I wonder if we'll figure it out. They're ranked number 15, and also that's the graduations of Vlad Jr. and Bo Bichette. Blue Jays are on the rise, borderline playoff team. And yet, like I said, the top, and like I said, there's been guys who were borderline top 10 prospects this year who dropped down to kind of the bottom 3/4 of the top 100 in the 70s. You had guys who are in the 70s, they're not as well known, who have shot up, so it happens every year. I mean, obviously, when you first sign as a 16-year-old, you're not going to be a top 100 prospect, but certain guys reach that level in their teens. Like we mentioned, the Rays, Wander Franco, number 11. You have the Texas Rangers, who, again, it's interesting, their farm system was not very good. In fact, I was reading about their farm system. I think I looked at it, the last rankings, it was like in the 20s. They're kind of stuck in the 20s for so many years. Now it's number 11. Getting in Jack Leiter, Josh Jung, 39. Cole Winn, 83. They have 3. This is their team right now. The Texas Rangers, 3 top 1. And that's the thing about the Rangers. Is just I remember reading about their farm system earlier. While they won those World Series, went to those World Series and had some success in the first part of the 2010s. they failed to draft and develop, and that's what happens. It happened with the Cubs, massive rebuild, probably a big rebuild probably coming. This happened with the Nationals, where teams can get good. They do good at developing prospects, but then once they get good, they trade their prospects, and they lose farm system depth for veterans, and that's what happens. And that's what happened to those teams, and that's what happened with the Rangers. Number 12, the Marlins, seems a little bit low, but they do have a lot of major prospects. So Sanchez actually pitched in the playoffs last year. Still a prospect, still counts. He's ranked 33, but then he got hurt this year. You hope he can come back, and it'll be interesting to see him in that same rotation where you had Sandy Alcantara, and then you had Trevor Rogers, who actually made it to the All-Star game this year, and then Sixto Sanchez in the same rotation. Three guys kind of all in their early to mid-20s. You have Max Mayer, I think he was picked third last year. Jesus Sanchez, Jake Elder, another pitcher. So the Marlins have had a good farm system. They've built their farm system up. In fact, it was actually ranking when Derek Jeter inherited the organization. They had to enter a major rebuild since they did not have a farm system. And yes, trading Giancarlo Stanton and Christian Yelich, it brought back some, but did not bring back nearly enough. The Marlins might not finish in last place this year. 13, the Diamondbacks. They're the worst team in baseball this year. They are. Yes, they have 4 top 100 prospects. Right now, this is a. Yeah, you look at this team. They're probably going to get the number 1 pick next. In fact, they will, almost certainly will. But yeah, Corbin Morrill, number 30, outfielder. Jordan Lawler, they drafted this year. Shortstop, high school kid, so it's going to take him a few years, 3 or 4 years at least. 31, Alex Thomas, 37. And then you have Blake Walston, 39, left-handed pitcher, 97. So that's the, so you have kind of 3 guys in the 30s. Kind of in the first third, and then you have someone at the end. And this is a Diamondbacks organization that got good in 2017, and then was kind of average, mediocre 18-19. Last year I thought they'd be good. Brought in Bumgarner, and this year they just, I don't know what happened, but they became the worst team in baseball far and away. They're kind of 500 even at the end of April, and then it just, I don't know, they're like 40 games below 500 now. Braves, number 14. This is as low as they've been in a long time. For the longest time, they were, and granted, the Braves always had a really good farm system, and the reason why they're good right now. Think about it. Acuna, terrible injury for sure. But Acuna, MVP caliber player, Ozzie, Dansby Swanson, Austin Riley, all this year for the Braves. They developed them this year. All big part of the fact those 3 guys, in fact the infield I just mentioned, big reason why the Braves have such success right now. They're waiting for Drew Waters and Christian Pache. Pache stumbled great. I mean, if you paid attention to the Braves this year, you know what I'm talking about. Ian Anderson graduated. A lot of pitchers graduate over the years. Huascar, finally coming back tonight. Broke his hand. Sad what happened there. So the Braves, it's only a matter of time. In fact, Kyle Muller is actually in the big league rotation now. He's going to graduate. He's ranked number 100. But look, I think their system is going to start to decline. It's very hard to keep a really good farm system as you're a good team, and the reason why is it's hard to do so is, again, when you get good, you draft lower, so obviously you get so you're not going to get the premier, supposedly those premier players. Yes, you hope you draft right, but you draft lower. Obviously, you trade your prospects. Sometimes you have to trade major prospects in order to get a deal. In order to get a premier major league player, you make big trades. You're always trying to win. And eventually the farm system gets bad, and when your team hits a crossroads, like the Cubs did, like the Nationals did, low-ranked farm, the Red Sox had the same issues. Farm systems just get worse. It's kind of a cycle. Braves 14, 15, as low as I've seen in a long time. The Dodgers at some point have been number 9. Have always been kind of, it seemed like top 10 for many years, even at times top 5, despite being really good. It's amazing. They did trade away Kerbert Ruiz and also Josiah Gray to the Nationals in order to get Trey Turner and Max Scherzer. So they had to give up a lot. So they really made a lot of big trades in their farm system for the Nationals, and obviously the Dodgers. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Normally buyers, they have Bobby Miller, 52, ranked 52. Catcher Diego Cortea, 53. But the Dodgers, they are very good at developing talent. And you think about their team. I mean, one thing they do, they sign players that teams don't think much of. Chris Taylor, Justin Turner, Max Muncy. And then you think about who they've developed over the years. Corey Seager. Again, draft, I think, 20th overall. Cody Bellinger, third-round draft pick. They developed him in the majors, premier prospect. Walker Buehler, into the first round, had Tommy John surgery, but they developed him very well. Julio Urias, international signing. Will Smith, their catcher. They're very good at developing players. They come up with new players each and every time. Since, remember, the Dodgers were very good in 2013 and 14. Their teams changed. Guys have come and gone on the Dodgers a lot over the years. But they've been, again, as I just said, very good at developing players. And they've had a lot of highly ranked prospects for numerous years. And this year, it doesn't look like it's happening, but I think the Dodgers farm system is going to get better. I mean, what will be this time next year, 6 months from now, in the winter time? I don't know. What it'll look like a year from now? Who knows? But 15 is as low as it's been in a long time. But if 15 is as low as you've been in a long time, then that's not so bad. 16 average, the Twins. It's been higher. Did graduate for sure, but they made some major trades. Getting Austin Martin, I'm shocked, who's not on the list right now, who's ranked number 18. Simeon was Richardson. I thought he'd be ranked for sure. He was 19 when the Mets traded him 2 years ago. I thought he would be in the big leagues at 19 or 20. Hasn't happened yet. I think last year really set that in. You know, it was low right now. The Padres, 17 is as low as what they've been in a long time. Yes, they're winning. They do have C.J. Abrams, fast shortstop, who's number 7. 45, 46, 78. When Kinsey Gore's really dropped, I don't know if he's going to work out. But again, very good at developing players. Very good. They had a great farm system for many years. They've graduated. That's what happens too, is when those players come up and they're ready to go, all of a sudden they're not prospects anymore. Maybe they're big league stars, but Padres 17 as low as it's been in a long time. Indians, you know, at number 18, it's interesting. They did trade Francisco Lindor. They have traded Trevor Bauer. Corey Kluber. They have traded a lot of big league talent that they've had. They traded Mike Clevenger last year. You know, it's interesting that the Indians, they're 500 at this point in time. They do have 4 top 100 prospects for sure, but they're more at the back end, back into the list. But the Indians, again, they did a very good job of developing. They're very good developing starting pitching. They had 5 really good years. The only year they didn't make it to the playoffs, they won 97 games. Or I'm sorry, 93 games 2 years ago. But I think they need to rebuild. The Yankees, there's one player I'm excited about. Jason Dominguez, who, again, you see players scouted on a 20 to 80 scale. And the Yankees are number 19. Yes, they're at the top for a while. They've kind of stayed right around average for a while. They do have money. We know they like to spend. And they once had a high-ranking farm system, say in 2017, 2018. Dominguez, you look at the 2080 scale, it seems like he's very high, like in the 60s in every single category. So he looks like, right there, that looks like Hall of Fame talent right there, or all-star caliber player. You can't really predict Hall of Famers. Yes, they do come up. So we have no idea. I mean, certain guys you can say are on a Hall of Fame trajectory if they keep doing what they're doing. Juan Soto, Ronald Acuna, I think they're on that trajectory. Fernando Tatis, yes, I know he's just come up, but if he continues what he does, yes. But again, it's hard to project. You can't say this guy's a Hall of Famer. You can't really say that, but trajectories maybe. Number 20, the Cardinals. It seems a little low. I mean, they have had good farm systems for sure. They're very good. You know, they've had a lot of players come up that have helped them win games in October. A lot over the last decade, they're ranked number 20, including Matthew Libature, who they actually traded for Randy Rosarina. Didn't think anything much of it at the time. Well, we know what a Rosarina is right now, but who is Libature, we don't know yet. You do have Jordan Walker, you actually have 36, 41, 42, so kind of all three top 50 guys right there. Number 21 is the Mets. They do have, which is interesting, how they're ranked number 21. They do have Francisco Alvarez, 15, Brett Beatty, 61, Ronnie Mauricio, 66, Mark Pinto's 91. They have four prospects yet they're ranked 21. Brewers is going upward. It was actually 30th. It was actually very good. They developed a lot of talent. Woodruff, Burns, Peralta is an example right there as they got good. I mean, their farm system was one of the best, and it's dropped off to 30th in recent years. You hope he can turn it around. Look like it was a big part of the team 2 years ago. Heston Kira just developing guys into the big leagues. Brewers were good at that. They're 22. Probably going to run with the Central, and I think I've talked about them being in the World Series recently as last week. 23 is the Nationals. Yes, they got Kerbert Ruiz, Cade Cavalli, 13, 24, Josiah Gray, 55. And it would seem higher than this. But if you think about it, then Brady House, 87, kind of all guys who entered the farm system this year. But the problem is there's a reason why they're 30th. The rest of the farm system is not very good. They do not have too many impact players in past years now, the Nationals. And they traded all their pieces. So, again, what it looks like 6 months from now, that could be a different story. What it looks like a year from now, that could be a different story as the Nationals trend kind of coming off that World Series. One reason why they're not very good is they don't have very good organizational depth. They just try to put together more championship runs. Didn't work. They are rebuilding. You have the 13th and 24th best prospect, yet you're ranked 23rd. So again, it is clear that their farm system is not very good. The Cubs are 24th. Yeah, a little better. But again, the Cubs have not been very good developing talent. We talked at length about that. 25th is the Angels. It was actually better for a long time, and they struggled with farm system rankings for years as well. And they've been mediocre. Rockies 26. They did have a good wave that kind of helped them come good in 2018, 2019, or 2017, 2018. But the Rockies, I don't know where they're going. They're not very good. They have one prospect, Zach Green, 88. I think was drafted in the first round last year. A's, 27. You know what? The A's, it's kind of interesting. Tyler Soderstrom, catcher, was actually drafted last year. I think he went to alternate camp just a month after he was drafted, which was crazy. So an emergency could have been the big leagues right out of high school. But the A's, it's funny. Despite being good, I mean, they've developed some talented players for sure. I mean, the A's, they're not big spenders. I mean, if you want to look at the A's this year, like their current roster, as we go through, I mean, just homegrown talent. Matt Olson was homegrown. Matt Chapman was homegrown and developed. To name a few, Shohei Shamanaya did come from the Royals organization, but still they developed. They were responsible for most of his development as well. So the A's, they did, despite having an average farm system all those years, they still managed to develop a good major league team. And how long they'll be good, I don't know. But their farm system is weak. Phillies 28. Again, Mick Abel, 73, high school pitcher drafted last year. The Phillies are not very good at drafting and developing, and they did have a stretch where they had a good farm system, maybe in the mid-2010s, but it's sunk since then. 29th, so 28th are the Phillies. So I'm about to reveal 29 and 30. White Sox and Astros. So the Astros are 29. I knew it was a matter of time before their farm system would sink. And again, sign stealing scandal. No first, no second round picks. At that point in time, there goes your chance to get any of the top 70 prospects. So you lose those picks right then and there. through the sign stealing scandal, and they made trades like with Zach Greinke. They had to give up a lot. Remember Verlander giving up a lot. The Astros for years had a good farm system, but now it's not. And you wonder how they get it better. The only one player that have top 100 system, 29, Corey Lee, catcher, 96. Haven't heard that much about him. I'm gonna have to read more about him this offseason. But the Astros years had a really good farm system, and granted, they did very well at drafting. They did quite well. They hit on some draft picks. They did well developing. They went from being terrible to winning one World Series, almost winning two, winning 100 games 3 years in a row, which is remarkable how you close a decade winning 100 games. 2019 Astros, they didn't quite win the World Series. That was one of the best teams we've ever seen. Probably not to win the World Series. And then number 30, the White Sox. The White Sox, very good at developing and graduating. Again, that's what happens. You make trades, sure, but you draft and you develop. The White Sox did good at that. Their rebuild, it worked. They're likely, I think they're the best team in the American League this year. Maybe not record-wise, but on paper, I think they're the team that has the best shot to not only make it, but possibly win the World Series. And I think they'll be good for years. But the same system goes with other teams that have been good. Your farm system is ranked 30th. And that's a problem. And the White Sox, they're very good. So are the Astros. Now, how much longer the Astros will be, I don't know. This is their probably 7th year being a good team. Wonder if they can make it to 10 or not. I don't know. It's hard to say. Baseball kind of comes in cycles. So again, if you think about it, so let's kind of look at a correlation. So top 5, bottom 5. Okay. How good are the Mariners? Top number 1. They are, just a review, they are a team on the rise. They needed to rebuild. They did. They have a good farm system. I think they're going to make it. I think they're going to be a good big league team. I think their playoff drought has to end soon. Possibly, probably not this year, next year. I would think it would end next year. And then not only that, does the team win their franchise's first World Series title with this group? Mariners on the rise. O's, they've been bad for years, but they have a second-ranked farm system. I don't know if they're on the rise or not. Again, and next year we could start to see signs, and maybe in 2 or 3 years you could start to wonder whether they're a playoff team or not. That's true. The Royals, I think they are on the rise. Again, they've rebuilt the farm system, was ranked near the bottom. Not very good. Pirates, one of the worst teams in baseball this year and last year. Actually had the number 1 pick this year. Ranked number 4. Giants, one of the best records in baseball. Ranked number with the 5th ranked farm system. It's amazing how they got so good this year. I wasn't expecting that. Now, will it last in October? And it's on paper. Look at the names that they have. And just quickly want to look at the Giants. But think about, I was not expecting that. I thought they might be a 4th place team. 72 and 42 record for the Giants. I mean, Buster Posey had an emerging year, possibly his best year in years. I think about Brandon Crawford having the best year of his career hitting wise. Might hit 25 home runs, hitting over 300. That's a huge step forward for Brandon Crawford. I think the biggest thing is ERA, the second best ERA in all of baseball. For sure, that's probably what stands out the most. I mean, Kevin Gausman, really 30-31. I mean, all their key starters in the rotation are in their 30s. 3 out of the 4 starters are actually in their 40s. The exception is Logan Webb. So you know what it could be like is, it reminds me of this team, maybe the 2013 Red Sox, where they made the right signings. The veterans stepped up and contributed. But looking at the roster, you knew this was maybe not sustainable for a long period of time. Maybe they have a couple. Who knows what they'll be like? But maybe they develop the farm system. Maybe they are built to win in the long term. Maybe they kind of are like the Red Sox. So those are your top 5 ranked farm systems. And then just to go through it, 6, 7. Obviously the Tigers, we talked about them on the rise. Rays went to the World Series last year. Reds could be on the rise, borderline playoff team this year. Red Sox, surprise playoff team. I mean, I don't know if they're surprised or not. They got outscored back than the Blue Jays. So, okay, so now the bottom 10, just to go rapid fire, it would be the Mets, borderline playoff team. Brewers, going to win the Central. Nationals 23, Cubs 24, Angels 25. Cubs on decline, they're rebuilding. Angels, you don't know what they are. They seem to be mediocre a lot. Bottom 5, the Rockies. I don't think they're going anywhere. They've been bad now for 3 years. I think it continues. A's 27. They've been good for the last 4 years. You wonder how much longer it continues. I think the biggest thing is when the Matt Chapman, Matt Olson contracts start to get low. Maybe you wonder how good the A's will be. How good will the A's be in 2 or 3 years from now? And they kind of build up, build back down. They've gone through cycles. But they have yet to have, say, long-term. But they've yet to make that many deep playoff runs. It seems like most years they're good, they get in, but they lose early on. Maybe since they're talented regular season teams, maybe I don't know what it is about the A's in the playoffs, but they're just not as good. 28, the Phillies, borderline playoff team. Yes, they're trailing the Braves. You wonder if they could possibly win the East. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But they've invested a lot. They've tried hard to win the last 3 or 4 years. It has not worked. Is this another one of those years where you think they might be good? Maybe they're good. No, they're not. They're mediocre, missed the playoffs. And then obviously the 29 and 30th ranked system, the White Sox and the A's. So correlation, top 5, bottom 5. Obviously the bottom 5 teams are better. A's, Astros, White Sox are likely playoff teams. Maybe the Phillies too. Rockies, no. And then any of the teams in the bottom 10, Brewers, most likely. So correlations, obviously I'd say the teams in the bottom 5, clearly better records. The only playoff team in the top 5 would be the Giants, best record in baseball. And then the O's and Pirates, 3 worst teams. The D-backs are on a whole other level. Royals, Mariners, so obviously bottom 5 better. So that's kind of the farm system rankings for now. Obviously we have the top 100 list, which I normally don't talk about minor league baseball. Hold on, but I just thought it was an interesting list to go through with the top 100 farm organizational rankings right now. I thought it was an interesting list to go ahead and share and talk about. So yeah, that is everything. It was updated yesterday. We have 7 weeks left to go in this baseball season. We are almost done. We are getting closer to October. In terms of other sports, college football is on our calendars. We'll be starting Labor Day less than 3 weeks from now. I think it's 18 days until kickoff. We have Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, and the U playing in Atlanta. NFL season about 3 weeks away or so. Kickoff 23 days away. Right around the corner as well. NFL season is upon us, and then obviously you have October. So you have the playoffs. So in terms of playoff spots, just rapid fire. I'm not going to go into as much detail as I did last week, as I did last Friday, but National League East, you know what? I don't know if it's going to be the Braves or not, the way they're playing. It could very well be the Braves. Now, does this continue? I don't know. It could change by the weekend. The Mets are trending downward, Braves trending upward. Phillies, can they catch the Braves? That's the question. The division, I think in the month of August, started out with the Mets. They're in first place for the longest time. Never pulled away. Kind of had that medium, kind of small lead for a while. Mets trending downward. Phillies, we don't know where they're going yet. Braves going upward. Right now, it would be the Braves, but I don't know. I think it's going to come down to the end the way it is right now. National League Central, the Reds are hot, but I'd say the Brewers, they're going to win the Central. West, you know what? The Dodgers, I think, are 27 games above 500, yet they're 4 games out of first. The Giants, I'm going to say yes to the Giants, but I'm not going to guarantee it. So I think the West is not decided yet. And then the wild card race, you know what? For a while, it looked like it was secure. The Reds are actually getting, I think they're just like 1.5 games behind the Padres. I mean, the Padres, it's definitely nervousness time. Whether they can hold on to that wild card spot or not. I mean, they're a talented team for sure. If they miss the playoffs, they'd be probably the most disappointing team in baseball that missed the playoffs. American League, East, most likely the Rays, but the Yankees or Red Sox could get hot. Central, White Sox. West, I think probably the Astros, but it could be the A's too. And then wild cards, again, looks to be probably the loser of the East and the runner-up, and probably the runner-up of the West. Maybe the Yankees or Blue Jays find a way. The East could send 3 teams. So, by the way, 10 years we've been doing this. This is possibly the last year Major League Baseball has that one-and-done wild card game, which was a big, which was a big part of the league for many years. Really, the last decade in baseball, including 2019. So, we'll see what baseball looks like in this off season. I'm interested to see what the future of baseball is. But yeah, and I was looking at these stats. So complete games in August, I think there's been just 5. I think so. I think just 5, maybe 4 from starting pitchers. In April, I think at 14, I thought, wow, we might get somewhat close to the level that we were at, say, 5 years ago. But the way we're at right now, it looks like we'll be just about the same as what we were, say, 2 or 3 years ago. So this is again, baseball, and yes, strikeout rates are a little bit down, averages are a little bit up. It's an improvement, but the way baseball was, say, 10, 20, 15, 20 years ago, I don't think we're going to ever get that back again. I don't think we're going to get that back where you had workhorse starting pitchers. You still have some of that, but you're not going to have guys throw 250 innings anymore. The amount of 200 inning pitchers is declining each and every year. Strikeout rates are at an all-time high. Maybe they're slightly down. So baseball, the way it is right now, personally, baseball is probably my favorite league to pay attention to and watch. But I'll say this. I don't like the way baseball's going. I don't like the trends. I don't like the high strikeout rates. Okay? I don't like the high strikeout rates. I don't like hitters striking out 150, 200 times a year. I mean, let's use a correlation. Amount of 150 strikeout guys, way up. 200 inning pitchers, down. Okay? Games are as long as they've ever been. They are. I mean, it's not a big deal if a game takes 3 hours anymore. Games are much longer than they were a decade ago, 15 years ago, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. They took like 2.5 hours or less. Games are too long. Too many pitching changes. I don't like the way stolen bases are down. I don't like the way baseball is right now. I don't like the way it's going. And I'm always going to be a baseball guy. Love October every year. You know, one of my favorite pastimes, listening to baseball on the radio. Baseball is one of my favorite games. I really enjoy it. But I don't like the way the game is. I don't like the way it's going. And I think it's going to get worse, not better. I mean, I really do. Baseball will never be the same again. When the analytics revolution, when baseball started changing drastically, say 5 years ago, and just kept changing more and more. I mean, look at baseball, compare baseball to 2011, 2001, compare baseball to 2011 now. Drastically different. There's limited amounts of change. There's some, but limited amounts. Now, it's changing more than ever. This is an unplanned topic. I just wanted to talk about something, just random subject. I don't like the way baseball is going. I wish if starting pitchers would throw 130 or 140 pitches in a game. Obviously, we keep People don't do that. It's very rare. The most you see now is 120. If anyone could throw 120 pitches, it was Trevor Bauer. He's not active right now. That's a whole other story. Starters just don't go 9 innings anymore. I mean, now instead of and it makes a difference. Instead of going 8, a starter might go 7. Plain and simple. I want DHs. I don't like seeing pitchers hit. I don't like I want baseball to be focused more on starting pitchers. I want DHs, more offense, more stolen bases. Juan Pierre could steal 60 bases, stole more than he struck out. I mean, at a very low strikeout rate, extremely low. If you strike out 10% or less, that's amazing nowadays. Guys strike out too much. What if we could have more guys who stole 60 bases? What if we could have more Juan Pierres, more Carl Crawfords, more Jose Reyeses? Guys like that, base stealers. What if we could have starting workhorses? What if we could, guys are capable of doing this, and yes, I think pitchers put in more effort now than they used to. I mean, if you're throwing 100, that's got to be max effort. I mean, I'm no pitching coach or analytics guru, but I think starting pitchers are putting in more effort, and I don't mean they're trying to win. I mean, each pitch is more effort. Like, I guarantee you. What if we could have more ground balls? What if we could have more balls in play? What if baseball comes back to what it was 25, 30 years ago? I mean, the product is not very good. I mean, 162 games of 3-hour games. In postseason baseball, I love it. I'm in the zone when I watch playoff baseball, but those games are ridiculously long. I mean, those games take 3.5 hours or more. I mean, they do. They take forever. So, just saying the state of baseball right now, I don't like where it is. And the analytics are only going to make it worse. All the shifts. Ground ball up the middle. Oh, hard ground ball, shallow right. That's an out. And they work. But when they don't work, they look stupid. So, this state of baseball, I've said it before, I want it to change. I mean, so what would it be like if I were in charge of baseball? And granted, I can't run a baseball team. Yes, I know a lot about baseball, probably more than most people, but I can't run a baseball team. Here's why. The way I like baseball wouldn't pass in a front office. If I was a manager, I focused on developing starting pitching. I want more base stealing. I want low strikeout rates. I like guys who don't strike out. I like workhorse starting pitchers. What if we could have guys who throw 200, 250 innings? Finish the game. Finish what you started. I would look like an idiot. We're gonna steal bases. We're gonna, just, what? I want to look up a random team right now. A team that won the World Series. How about the 1982 St. Louis Cardinals? Like, let's look them up right now. 1982. Let's look on Google, search them right now. 1982 St. Louis Cardinals also won the pennant in 1985. So, the 1982 Cardinals, they struck out just 800 times. Now, think about it. They had the second lowest strikeout rate. They did only hit 67. They did only hit 67 home runs, but they stole 200 bases. Okay, I like that a lot better. Think about it. Everyone on that team struck out in the 50s and 60s rate. Ozzie Smith struck out 32 times, stole 25 bases. Okay, we just don't have enough of that anymore. A team stealing 200 bases as a team. Who cares about home runs? No one. Gosh, the guy with the most home runs was 19. We don't have enough of that. And then your workhorse starting pitcher, Joaquin Andujar, probably not related to Miguel, 38 game start. Now, most games start that anyone would do now, I would say, would probably be 34 through 37 game starts, 265 innings. Yet strikeout rate, 4.6 per 9. Next starting pitcher, Bob Forich, 6 complete games. Next starting pitcher, 7 complete games. You had 4-man rotations back then. And yes, you had guys in the bullpen throw a lot. Relievers just threw more back then, not less. I mean, didn't have that lefty specialist stuff as much back then. So again, the team threw 25 complete games, just 5th in the league, right? No, the whole league itself is struggling at 25 complete games. And they almost won the World Series in 1985. But if you think about it, Vince Coleman stole 110 bases, struck out 115 times. In fact, you'd say that's high back then. That team struck out 853 times, 5th in the league, and granted, that's 12 teams. That's average. That's average. No one strikes out at that low of a rate anymore. Yet they stole 314 bases and they hit 87 home runs. 314 bases. No one steals that many. That's fun. That type of baseball looks like fun to me. And then your workhorses, you had 5 game starters. The leader of your pack, you had starters who threw 275 innings. Yet the strikeout rate of starters was 5.5, 3.74. Strikeout rates were lower. Guys got 5 strikeouts per inning. Guys didn't, as a team, they got 4.9 strikeouts per game. No one gets strikeout rates that low. 275, 269. Complete games, 14, 10, 10. 10 shutouts, 200 plus innings. Yes, you did kind of have a 5-man rotation, okay. But they threw 37 complete games. The whole league itself will never get that many. So you see, that's just how much baseball has changed, right? So just reading these numbers of these players from different eras, but these Cardinals teams, they stole tons of bases. Stealing 200 bases in a year or whatnot, hitting less than 100 home runs. I wouldn't mind seeing that anymore. Okay, I wouldn't mind seeing that anymore. So that was baseball. Wow. So the Cardinals threw 10 complete games in 1987. So that was ranked 11th out of 12 National League teams. So go figure. So sure. So yeah, baseball I think started to change a great deal. Baseball Reference has this great website. Where they have data over time. Obviously, biggest things that are down. Obviously, complete games down, starting pitching innings down, home runs up, strikeouts up. Which home runs are fun. I like those long shots, but just it would have been fun, to maybe watch baseball in the 80s or in the 70s or whatnot, as opposed to now. And granted, I still like baseball. I apologize. I'm kind of ranting now. I meant to just talk about farm system rankings. I kind of went on a little bit of a tangent right there. But will we see 1980s baseball? No. Stolen bases. Analytics people say, oh, you're risking an out. Why risk that out? Okay, we have our power hitter up. We're gonna have a 2-run home run. Why risk losing a run? Stuff like that. And sure, analytics are actually smart. Since again, the people that run baseball front offices, they go to Yale and stuff. That's why I couldn't run a baseball front office. Is I don't like the way baseball is now. And my idea is old. I guess you could say I'm old school when it comes to baseball. I guess I am. So I couldn't, what's the word for it? I couldn't, the way I view baseball, the way I want baseball to be played, just simply couldn't work. So I'll just have to be a broadcaster of baseball instead. And look, I really enjoy baseball. You get used to it. Baseball, it is what it is. I enjoy it. I feel like I probably always will. Like I said, there's nothing like October baseball. So that is everything in terms of what I have to say for now. I'm going back to school tomorrow. We'll see what starts to change. I don't know for sure. So that is everything. And we'll see you next time.